Hey guys, Bo Harrison, Cranky Canine. We're gonna go over lunge line training today. All right, make sure my marker's working. Okay, for this exercise, this is a foundation for teaching how to stay by the handler. All right, we aren't necessarily asking for a perfect heel. We're just asking the dog to stay within 5 feet of the handler by the end of the week. And then we're also gonna build a sit-stay during this exercise, okay? So, I'm gonna go ahead and put the kind of the rules of the game in the top corner up here. We are gonna be using a 15-foot leash. Okay, and let me go ahead and show you the grip on that. Okay, you're gonna take the 15 feet of looseness and throw it on the ground. Your right thumb goes through the loop and you clasp around, and then your other one is right here underneath, up against your chest. You guys, if you have a big dog and you're walking real loose and casual, that dog can pull your arm out of the socket. You can injure yourself from a poor grip. So make sure that you've got a good grip. Another idea is don't trip on the leash. It's gonna be on the ground around your feet. You always have to know where that line is at, okay? So we're gonna write use the proper grip, and then we're also gonna write don't trip, okay? All right, you need to do this on grass, a grassy surface, and you need 3 points in a field, or your backyard, I'm sure could work for most folks. And those points are gonna be somewhere between 50 and 75 feet apart. Okay, and they need to be clearly marked. So you need to get some orange cones or some bricks or, anything, but you need a marker. That way you end up at the same point every time, and the dog needs to know where he's going. He needs to know we're headed to that point. If you guys have already done your station work, it's a very similar scenario. We have stations and the dog knows directly right where it's headed. And that's really a big point of this, okay? So clearly marked. Let's get some orange cones out there, some bricks or something, okay? All right, the last rule that we're gonna have on here is to ignore the dog, okay? You guys, this is a shaping exercise. And what that means is it's a capturing exercise. What that means is we're gonna ignore the dog, and when the dog guesses correctly, we're gonna mark, oh, real surprise marker, and pay the dog. Oh, and then pay. Okay, and so it's just like your stations. When you get further along in the method, the station work, it's a capturing exercise. You're gonna completely ignore the dog, and then they are to figure it out. So you are not to try to gain their attention. You are not to tug on them or wave at them or hey honey, wave treats at them. You completely ignore them. And if they give you the target behavior, then you mark and pay. Does that make sense? So they're supposed to figure it out. They're basically supposed to guess what you want. And when they guess correctly, then you reward them. But do not teach them. Do not coach them. Do not tell them. They need to figure it out. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and draw my 3-point dots up here. You can see they've been burned into this thing for how many times that I've explained this, A, B, and C, okay? All right, now, on day 1, what we're hoping to do is increase the dog's attention level onto us, okay? On day 1, we want to increase attention. So here you are, you're at point A. You're gonna wait here for 30 seconds, okay? If the dog is a dog, so it's gonna sniff around. It doesn't care about you. We are completely boring to them. It's gonna chew on sticks. It's gonna sniff the grass. It's gonna dig or pee or whatever the heck it's doing in its 30 seconds. But for some reason, if that dog decides to come up to you and pay attention to you, its lovely owner, instead of doing those things, you are gonna act shocked and surprised as if you can't believe that he chose you. Oh, you're gonna pay him, And then that means that you've actually gained the target behavior, which is just him coming up and giving you attention. You pay him, and then you head out to the next point. So in that way, you don't have to finish the 30-second waiting period. You've already gotten the target behavior. That 30-second waiting period was an available time. And if he doesn't give you the target behavior within the 30 seconds, then you just wait your 30 seconds and then head to the next point. All right, so you've waited your 30 seconds. Now you're heading to the next point. On this one, your dog decides to sniff around and buzz off and not care about you. So you wait your 30 seconds and then you head to the next point. And then when you get to point C, he says, you know what? I'm gonna come in and give you the target behavior, the attention. And so you wait your 30 seconds, but let's say maybe after 10 seconds, he comes up, gives you attention and gives you the target behavior. Then you're just waiting for 10 seconds and then heading back out to the next point. I hope that is clear. I always feel like I'm explaining that wrong, but the whole thing is that there's a 30-second window for him to give you the target behavior. If he doesn't give you the target behavior in 30 seconds, then you move on to the next point. But if he gives you the target behavior in 10 seconds, then to heck with the leftover 20, head out. Now, day one, we're looking to increase the attention, so anytime he checks in, we're paying him. When you come out and you do your triangle pattern, you will come around this triangle 6 times. That is 18 points, which is 18 opportunities for him to give you the target behavior, get it marked, get it paid, and then repeat, you know. So there's a good chance. I have seen dogs that fail completely at this. It is what it is, guys. Dogs learn at their own pace. If you're having a hard time, call me, text me, email me something, and I can give you some more tips. Now we're on to day 2. On day 2, what we're hoping to create is a sit at each point, all right? The day before, we were hoping to create attention. I have seen dogs fail for the entire day 1, and if that was the case, then I would possibly just try to have the same goal of creating attention on day 2. I generally don't move forward until the dog creates the behavior from the day before, but most dogs will give me attention on the first day and then the sit on the second day. And so what I mean by that is, like, by the time we get to day 2, I've already been paying them for coming in and paying attention. Well, I'm not gonna do that anymore. And so if I had attention on the first day and we got that target behavior, I would sit here and ignore them. And then they would come in and go, well, yesterday, I know it was attention that I was supposed to be giving him, but now for some reason my attention isn't working. So they'll just keep giving you the attention and then laziness kicks in and they'll sit. And especially if your food is up here, like by your chest, like where my marker is, that tends to make them look up at the food, and then the butt will go down because the dog works like a teeter-totter. Head goes up, butt goes down. And as soon as that butt goes down, we pay, and then boo, we're out of here, off to the next point, okay? So we're trying to create a sit. So here you are, you're waiting for your 30 seconds. Maybe the dog doesn't do it. Maybe he just sniffs around and chews on sticks for 30 seconds. That's okay. Wait your 30 seconds, move to the next point. At point B, the dog says, I've chewed on enough sticks, I've sniffed enough grass, and so then he comes into you and he's trying to get your attention, but for some reason that's not working, so then he has a seat and you mark it, and then you pay for that sit, and then boom, out to your next point. Okay, and then here you give him that 30 seconds. This time the jig is up. He knows what to do. He comes right in, gives you that sit. Pay, and then boom, out to point A. You're gonna go 6 times around that triangle. That is 18 opportunities, 18 little puzzles for him to figure out. Guys, sometimes the dogs just sniff around and chew on sticks. That's okay. You want them to discover what benefits them. You don't want to show them or teach them. That is day 2. All right, guys, so now we're at day 3, okay? At day 3, hopefully we're getting a sit at each point, okay? If your dog isn't sitting at each point, then don't move on to this next step, which is trying to create the sit stay. Okay, we will instead just redo day 2 and try to get those sits at each point. Once that dog's doing well at sitting at each point, then we turn it into a sit stay. We do that by treating the dog 5 times in 5 seconds, so 1 treat per second. Okay, so I'm gonna write that over here. On day 3, we want to create the sit stay, and this is real simple, you guys. I know a lot of you guys are like, my dog can't sit still. We're gonna feed 5 treats in 5 seconds. That is 1 treat every second, okay? Now, the other thing that's gonna happen on day 3 is you are going to begin turning corrections, okay? Now, basically this is just where we walk in the opposite direction that the dog walks. So if they lag behind, we speed up. If they get ahead of us, we turn around and go the other way. If they go left, we go right. If they go right, we go left, okay? So here we are, we're at here at point A. We are waiting our 30 seconds, giving that dog the opportunity to do a sit stay. If it does a sit, we're gonna we don't say sit, we don't say stay, we just pop 5 treats into that dog's mouth, and then we head out to B. Now on this day, if our dog decides to lag behind, let's say it wants to pee on the cone. When our pup gets 5 feet behind us, he gets a 5 feet opportunity or leeway, okay? We are going to speed up, and we're gonna get to point B in a hurry. And then our friend has come back here, he's gonna hit the end of the line and get propelled forward all the way to point B, okay? When we get to point B, we're waiting our time frame, and we're trying to get that 5-second sit stay by handing out 1 treat and 1 treat per second for 5 seconds. Then we're heading out to point C. At this point in time, let's say that our friend decides it wants to bolt ahead of us. Well, when he gets 5 feet ahead of us, we're gonna turn around and go the other way, okay? Now, our friend here hits the end of the line, gets whipped around, and is now being propelled and heading back to point B with our owner. And then once our owner gets to point B, they're gonna make another attempt at getting that 5-second sit stay, 5 treats in 5 seconds. When they accomplish that, they head right back out to point C, and they redo this over and over until it is right, okay? At least the motion part is right, which means that the dog stays within 5 feet until it gets to C. And we don't expect the dog to be perfect. We don't expect that dog to heel or anything. We give it a 5-foot radius all around us. So we call that the 5-foot latitude. I'll go ahead and write that up here on our rules of how this game is played. The dog is gonna get a 5-foot latitude, okay? And so if it's 5 feet behind, 5 feet in front, 5 feet to the left or right, we're fine. As long as it's within that little bubble, we just keep rolling. It's when it gets outside of that little bubble that we move in the opposite direction, okay? So now we're hanging out here at C. We've gotten to our point. We've accomplished our 5-foot sit stay, 5-foot sit stay. I said that wrong. Our 5-second sit stay, 1 treat per second. We head out towards A to finish the triangle, and this time our friend says, well, I'm gonna come sniff around over to your left. When it gets 5 feet out, makes that mistake by 5 feet, we're gonna take a right. It's gonna hit the end of the line here and get propelled into this direction. Now it looks like the 2 of you should just head off to B. It's right there in front of you, but you shouldn't. When this dog catches up to you, you come back, you start over at C, and you're trying to get that 5-second sit stay once again. Okay? Now, just redraw that real quick. All right, so here you are, you tried to get your 5-second sit stay, maybe you got it, maybe you didn't, you head out towards A. Our friend decides to come sniff over here in the middle. You're heading this way when it gets 5 feet away, again. Our friend hits the end of the line here, gets propelled in this direction. When that pup catches up with you, you're back to C for another opportunity to get the 5-second sit stay, okay? Now this triangle, once again, you go 6 times around the triangle every time you do it. Most of the time, with most dogs, by the time you get to the end of day 3, your dog is gonna be wanting to stay within that 5-foot bubble of you as you move around the triangle. Most dogs are gonna be doing 5-second sit stays and then moving with the handler to the next point. And, you know, usually like the first 2 triangles they mess up, and then the last 4 they do really, really well. If that's the case for you, you guys can move on to day 4. If your dog isn't doing a great job on day 3, do not move on to day 4. Just keep repeating day 3 until it works well.